The reason why I put this into the picture is that, all right, we are talking about qualitative versus quantitative methods, okay, is because you need to really know how to differentiate them. And if, let's say, you are asked during your viva, you know how to answer that, right? Because there are situations whereby when the examiners ask on the data collection method, okay, some students are a little bit, you know, unsure on what to answer. So if, let's say, you know the difference between both of this, you will be able to answer it confidently. That why you are using qualitative and why that you are using quantitative. Okay. When it comes to the difference between both, right? The purpose of doing whether qualitative or quantitative is definitely different. In the context of qualitative, you are going to explore the meaning and to understand a situation or to understand certain processes. Okay? It's about exploring and you are looking into something that doesn't relate to numbers. It's about a situation, right? But in the context of quantitative, there are more towards numbers and there are more towards statistical method that you are thinking of. Okay. So because of that particular reason, right? That's the why people
Acetylene.
that's why you see that there are some people using quali and some people using quantitative. Okay, all right. So in the context of qualitative and quantitative as well, in terms of data, you are collecting definitely a different data, okay? Even though sometimes the source of the data is the same, you are going to the same population, right? But the way that you are going to collect it and get information from them may not be the same, all right? So because why? Okay, let's say you decided to understand or you want to study on the financial literacy of postgraduate students, for example. So let's say if you decided to know more about it, the relationship between okay, one particular variable and another, and you need big number of people to answer it. So chances of doing qualitative is very slim, and you need to do your quantitative. But when you just want to know, okay, how people feel about or to understand people's financial literacy, you may just want to interview several people to understand it, and that is already considered as sufficient. Okay. In terms of approach, qualitative is very much inductive and quantitative is very much deductive. All right. So it's from a general kind of issues problem and you start to narrow it down. Whereas in the context of quantitative, from a small matter to the bigger things that you are going to associate it with and you are going to generalize it. All right. So in the context of quali, your role is very subjective and your role is very much interactive. Whereas in the context of quantitative, it's more objective and you as a researcher are detached from your, I would say from your data, all right? The outcome is very much in depth, all right? Whereas quanti is very much generalization. Okay, next slide. Okay. All right. Can move up. Right. Okay. Why do I put this into the picture? Usually, all right, when you don't know much about the subject matter that you are researching on, all right, and you don't have much variables, for example, and you feel that there are more things that you need to identify. So from the reading of your literature, right, you find there are several variables are already being researched on, and but you feel that there are some more construct or variables that are there, but it is still not being researched on. That's where the gap comes into the picture. And you want to add more variables to it, because in reality, you feel that there are more things that influence whatever that you are trying to research on. That's where qualitative element comes into the picture. Okay? Because usually the variables that you found in the literature comes from qualitative method first. All right. Once they have already identified, okay, from the concept that they have when they started the research, it will then become the construct. Okay. And once you have the construct, and when you use it and you want to test it, it becomes a variable. Okay. And when it comes into your research as variable, then you can measure it. But in the context of qualitative research, we don't call it as variable. All right. Normally, we use the term like concept, and we use the term like construct, right? And in quantitative, normally you use the term variable. Any questions so far? I can't see the slide anymore.
Salam Prof. Boleh dengar ke?
Boleh.
Okey Prof, sorry. Tadi Prof kata bila kita buat qualitative, when we do the interview, we only need few sample kan untuk buat interview contohnya. Macam mana kita nak tentukan that sample tu is a qualified sample? Thank you.
Jelas suara you. You are saying that, okay, let's say if you are doing qualitative research, boleh ulang
kalau kita
sekali
buat
lagi?
qualitative research, macam mana kita nak tentukan kita punya sample tu as a qualified sample? Sebab kita punya sample tak banyak kan.
Okay.
Contohnya orang yang kita nak interview kan, macam mana kita nak characterize tu.
Okay. Can I go into that after this? As we go on, alright, nanti because I will touch on that one later on, okay? Okay, I'll keep that. Nanti bila dah sampai, so you remind me again. Okay, alright. So basically, when you talk about the relationship between quali and quanti, if you look at this particular page, okay, this particular slide, the first two, okay, you only have basically just an idea or a concept. Right? And you feel that, okay, there are issues outside there. For example, okay, when I did my PhD before this, okay, I don't know much about management accounting practices, and I don't know much about the institution that I'm going to research on. But there's always stories that people talk about, okay, saying that, okay, because my the organization that I look at is the religious institution. And to be specific, it's a zakat institution. All right. So people always say that zakat institution is not managing the resources well. So that gave me an idea, all right, on what to research on. So it's just a concept. It's just a big concept. So what I did after that is, okay, from that particular concept, I decided to go in depth. I don't have much literature talking about it. And when I read the literature is very much related to the, I would say the aspect of religion and zakat. Very specific on the Sharia part about zakat. Nothing was actually mentioned, not much was actually mentioned about the management of this particular zakat in this institution. So that gave me an idea. So I start reading about religious institution. In general, I'm not specifying anything related to zakat yet, But one thing I know that Zakat is a religious institution, so my literature goes back to anything related to religious institution, whether it's Christianity or Judaism or any other religion. And let's say, okay, you have that is okay. And to have a specific articles related to Zakat institution, not much. But I have to look at the concept at the bigger picture to find out what are the problems that has been specified or mentioned inside those particular articles that study on religious institution, and would that be the same as Zakat institution? And after reading, okay, I need to read as well, okay? It goes back to the literature. So because that, okay, by reading those literature and the sources of the elements, like what you mentioned in quantitative, the variable, okay, in those particular articles are very much related to management. So that's where I get those particular concepts from, all right? So I am borrowing because there are bound to be some similarities in that sense. It's okay for you to study it that way because in qualitative research, no matter what actually happened, you have your issues and the problems that you want to actually raise should be bigger, should be, that's why you say it's inductive. From a bigger and global issues and problem in religious organizations, I will then narrow it down to Zakat institution. That's why you see that, all right, you have a concept first. So identifying that concept is very much through the reading of your articles or from any newspapers or from any conferences that you went, you heard about this particular issue being mentioned, you can start actually from there and start to dig whether those are the real problems or not. Okay? You always start with a concept. And once you have already identified that particular concept, all right, and to make sure the concept is meaningful and to ensure that your concept not just meaningful but applies to those institutions, then what happened is another way that you can make sure, all right, your concept can help you with your research, you can go straight to those institutions and do some preliminary interview just to confirm, because in the articles, in the literature, they talk about religious institution which is not Islam. That's where the difference between what you found in the literature and what you are going to research on. And Zakat institution is very much based on the Islamic principles. So what you read just now is not, but that can be the starting point of your gap. All right. So that's where you can confirm, not really, you can actually, you can assure that, oh, that concept can be applied. There are bound to be some similarities in that sense to ensure and that you get that confirmation, you can meet someone from that particular organization or people in that particular area just to confirm your concept just now, all right, through an interview. And once you are done with that, and if it is for sure, and they say that, yeah, these are our problems as well. So it's like a confirmation, all right? It's like a confirmation that your concept is workable. Any questions so far? I'm still talking on the part of the qualitative domain. So from this example, if let's say I'm looking into trust in leadership in Zakat institution, for example, all right. So I need to find out whether this is the real issues or problem in that organization. So after I've, let's say, made an initial interview, all right. So I found that there are several issues that they brought up, okay, that related to trust in leadership in this particular organization. So from there, yes,
Boleh saya tanya?
boleh.
Okay. Macam ni Prof. Maksud kalau kita nak buat kualitatif punya research, kita perlu ada satu konsep asas yang kita nak cari. Maksudnya kalau misalnya kata kita nak kaji tentang amalan pengajaran,
Yes.
amalan pengajaran, amalan PDP, maksudnya amalan pengajaran dan pembelajaran.
Okay, alright.
Okay, so maksudnya adakah kita nak daripada pembacaan LR kita, amalan pengajaran ni pelbagai, adakah kita come out dengan satu yang kita rasa ada sesuatu yang kita kena cari dalam PDP tu, ataupun nak berdasarkan kepada trend? Trend.
Yes.
Trend research tu. Saya nak faham tentang bagaimana yang dimaksudkan tentang konsep asas untuk nak buat kualitatif tu. Kalau kuantitatif maksudnya kita akan cari variable dia boleh ubah. Yes. Tapi kualitatif tu.
What you are saying just now is correct. So you kena ada asas. Kalau you rasa itulah asas pengajaran yang you rasa, right, through your reading are still lacking, but not many people are focusing on it, then that can be established as your initial concept. Faham?
Okay, so maksudnya contoh kalau kita kata amalan pengajaran ada satu dikatakan muhasabah, satu istilah yang dikatakan perlu kepada muhasabah, maksudnya kita kena faham konsep muhasabah tu sebagai satu faktor untuk buat lebih dalam tentang kualitatif tu.
Yes, betul.
Okay, baik. Terima kasih, Prof.
Okay. So dari when you already know that, alright, you already got your bigger concept too, it's okay for you to actually put it inside your write-up. Alright? But how are you going to come about with it? Then we talk about theoretical formulation, construct. How do you do that? Then that's where you start to get your data, all right? You start to interview people. So this is what qualitative is all about. And later on, when you talk about muhasabah just now, all right, you dah dapat the bigger concept, you got that bigger concept, and when you started interviewing, collect all your data, suddenly from that particular concept, all right, it's branching out into several small little themes, okay? And that theme reflecting your muhasabah will be your construct. Okay, that will be your construct. In my case, after the reading, there are 3 elements that people raise talking about, okay, in order for you, okay, in order for religious organization to be successful, okay, several authors are suggesting that they have to look into their management accounting practices. They have to look into their innovation, and they have to look into the person job fit. So I took that particular 3 concept, and then from that particular concept, I start to work on it. My literature is only to support the concept, all right? My starting literature argument is only to talk about that concept. And I'm not going to add on any other literature argument yet until later on I do my real data collection. This one is just an initial data collection. Let's say you want to know more about your muhasabah. You already have literature to support that. Okay, muhasabah is something that's the gap now. All right, the trend now is that one. But what is it about muhasabah that you need to look at? For example, in quantity, people will say, what will be the, we are talking about factors there, but they are talking about the variable to support your muhasabah just now, right? Okay, the breakdowns. So you don't have that yet. Like me, I don't have that yet, but I have these three bigger concepts. I started with that particular concept first. Then I start to dig more on these three concepts, and I started my preliminary interview. I don't collect any other data except for preliminary interview. So if I'm talking about trust in leadership, in the example that I have here, okay, then I'll be asking about what they meant by trust. Okay, leadership requires a trust. So what do they mean by the term trust? Like yours will be muhasabah in teaching, for example, right? In teaching and learning. So after all those preliminary interview, and after not just preliminary interview, my preliminary interview was just to confirm that this concept is valid, right? Once it is valid, all right, then I started to search for any other theories that can actually support it. Then I have my, I would say, my data collection. So my study stops here at the construct, because why? I just want to find out the dimension. Okay, what are the elements? So confirm that the elements that I have, okay, under management accounting practices, is all about what? Planning, and it's all about coordinating, it's all about monitoring. So those are the elements that I found, okay, after my in-depth data collection. First, just to confirm the concept. After confirming the concept, then I started to do my in-depth investigation. All right. So in the context of qualitative, if you start with a shaky concept, I would say, is this an idea, or is just that from your literature, that's what you found? So basically, you need to be able to find out in detail whether it is valid or not. So that's the reason why you do your preliminary investigation. So far, are you all okay? Okay. And when I say the preliminary investigation just now, that is your exploratory phase. You try to find meaning, you try to look into what people perceive about it, all right? Then you will be able to conceptualize it, and your concept now becomes a stronger concept. Right? Once it becomes a stronger concept, it is easier then for you to get some theory to actually support your conceptualization. And once you start doing your research, this and that in detail, then you may come up with some themes. Like, for example, in this trust in leadership, they have 3 dimensions that they found, which is integrity, competence, and benevolence. So I stopped there because I don't have any intention to test it. All right? But your research, your outcome will be used by those in the quantitative domain to operationalize it. And they will be the one who is going to do some measurement, doing some empirical studies, and analyze it statistically to justify that that integrity, competence, and benevolence is actually influencing the trust in leadership. They are the one who's going to test that. We don't. We stop at the construct. Because that we stop at the construct, we don't call it as variable. All right? But for when the quantitative people start to use our construct, it becomes a variable. When it becomes a variable, it is measurable. So in the context of qualitative studies, okay, when you talk about an avid researcher in qualitative, they will not accept for you to use the term variable. All right? They would prefer you to accept it as just elements of construct. Next, please. we have the next slide, please. Okay. So in the context, this one I'll just mention it briefly, all right? In the context of qualitative and quantitative research, you tend to find that quantitative is something linear, okay? You are talking about relationship, and whereas when you talk about qualitative study, it is, I would say, it's going back and forth. They're cyclical. You cannot say that, okay, when you already have your objective and you get your findings, that you're going to stop there. Okay? Sometimes, usually, not sometimes, usually for a qualitative researcher, once you have got your findings, that's where you have to go back all over again to your introduction. Make sure your objective tally with your findings. If it's not, you change your objective to make sure it meets your findings. Remember, the whole story about thesis is about coherent. So it has to be coherent throughout. From your objective, okay, from your background of study, your objective, and then your methodology, and towards.
Yes, number speaker dah.
Let me switch off this first. Okay. All right. So basically, when we talk about all this, all right, qualitative is a little bit like it's easier at the beginning because you can just simply jump into your research, jump into your methodology, things like that. But it's kind of tough towards the end. All right. People say that it's kind of tough towards the end because you need to actually weave, all right, your findings, your theory into your discussion. So that's a big challenge to most students doing qualitative. Okay. Our challenge is towards the end. But for those doing quantitative, they have to make sure that their framework, okay, is solid, grounded from the beginning. And the difficulty will come earlier as compared to qualitative. Okay. But I'm not saying that it's not interesting. Yes. Any question? I heard somebody's voices now. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So what is it actually? Okay, what is qualitative research? So basically, it is just an umbrella concept that covers several types of inquiry for you to be able to understand the meaning of your muhasabah just now. Like for me, the meaning of what management accounting practices are, the innovation practices, and the person job fit practices in an organization. I want to know more about it, and I want to explain about that particular situation better in the context of how it is actually being applied to ensure that Zakat institution manages the fund well. And for you to ensure that people can actually look at muhasabah and the importance of muhasabah in teaching and learning. All right. So you want to have more explanation about it. So that's what a qualitative research is all about. All right. So in terms of data collection, people call it as a soft kind of method. The reason being you are not using any statistical analysis for it. Okay, because you are going to meet people, you are going to visit places, you are going to observe people teaching, or you are going to interview people in the institution, okay, who are doing the work on a daily basis. So that's what you do. And it's all about what? Descriptive, it's about meaning, it's about emic perspective, okay? It's about, when you say emic perspective, it's about how people look at their daily work. For example, like in my case, how do they practice management accounting. And from your interview, you know that in the context of accounting and in the context of literature, anything that you do to manage a fund is a management accounting practices in terms of accounting terminology, right? But in practice, if you ask them that using the terms, they don't know. They don't consider that as management accounting practices. But when you ask them, did you actually monitor other people's work? They said yes. But when you ask and use the term, did you practice management accounting in your firm? They will say no. Why? Because they do not know the terms. That's where your story begins. All right? So you can actually write about it. That in the context of doing research, okay, in the context of a layman, the term management accounting practices is not well known to them. But when asked, okay, in a layman term, whether they are using concept of monitoring, they do. So indirectly, they do practice management accounting, but they do not understand that that is what management accounting practices is all about. So you are able to create those particular story from the answers that you get from the respondent just now, your interviewees just now. If you're talking about qualitative researchers, they don't like you to use the term respondent as well, because the term respondent are very much used by the quantitative people. All right. So it's okay if you use that. Okay, you use the term like interviewee, your interviewees. Or your participants. You can use that. And one thing about in the context of qualitative, people are there, okay, able to give you information in their own natural setting. They are the one who actually doing the work, so they will be able to answer those particular questions well. And sometimes you have to be aware of the emergence of new data. Just now, we are talking about the three concepts, three elements: management accounting, innovation, and person job fit. But during the interview, they tend to tell about other things. Other than just these three elements, the concept that you brought in earlier, those are considered as your emerging data. Please do not ignore that emerging data, because it will give you some emerging information, which we are going to use it. All right. And in the context of qualitative as well, remember the statistical tool that you are going to use is yourself. All right. You are the research instrument. Yes. There's one question, Nur Afifah.
Assalamualaikum Prof. Lagi sekali nak tanya.
Okay, no problem.
Bila kita buat soalan kualitatif, contoh tadi saya kata muhasabah, tapi muhasabah tu adalah term yang tak semua orang orang tahu kan. Jadi adakah contohnya kalau saya kata kita bagi tahu pada soalan pada dia dengan bentuk bagaimana jika anda hendak meminta pelajar untuk koreksi diri ataupun berdasarkan kepada, adakah kita kena come out dengan satu situasi yang membuatkan orang yang diinterview tu dia boleh cerita.
Yes.
Dan kita tak menggunakan term yang dia tak tahu, tu maksud doktor tadi. Ya, betul.
Yeah, betul. Betul. Correct. You are correct.
Maksudnya kita tak ada, adakah kita nak kena elakkan soalan apakah ke, adakah ke?
Basically, if you are talking about qualitative research, soalan you is kenapa dan bagaimana. Apa tu what tu kiranya sparingly, macam tak naklah banyak-banyak. Dia more on kenapa. In your case, when you ask question on muhasabah, maybe you are giving them some sort like a scenario. Why do you think, how do you handle this situation? And why? Most importantly is why. How and why.
Okay, baik-baik. Terima kasih, Doktor.
Okay. So like I said just now, remember your real qualitative research is actually, okay, there's a question here. Still, okay, all right. Ada tadi I saw one question. Okay. For preliminary interview, does it applicable for all qualitative studies? It's good for you to have a preliminary interview to confirm your concept. Okay. I think in most qualitative study, yes, people do preliminary, just to make you feel better that you are not, doing something that is ridiculous, for example, right? So you may need to confirm it with the practice or whoever your potential respondent is. Okay. Number of participants okay. When you talk about number of participants, it depends on your question. What is it that you want to find out? Okay, especially our participants are vulnerable groups such as kids with disabilities. Okay. What kind of disability that you are looking at? You can go specific to these people, all right, and find out. Again, how you're going to do it, it depends on whether you're doing a case study, phenomenology, ethnography, or you are going to use grounded theory. All right? Okay. So, how many? If you interview several of them or you observe several of them and you find some similarities in everyone, baru 5 orang, only 5. Suddenly you found similarities. You can hold your data collection. Put it on hold, all right? And because when you talking about doing qualitative, it's reiterative. That means as you interview, you have to analyze, okay? After one interview after another, you need to do your continuous analysis to see the similarities and the differences. And from there, if you feel that you still want to ask more, look, let's say you have interviewed 5, you found that they have the same thing, the same information that you get from them is called saturating, then test it. Try to interview another 1 or 2 more. If, let's say, the answer is still similar to the first 5, just now stop. So you have 7. 7 is sufficient. So you're talking about concept and the gap. Concept normally are being created. Okay, you get your concept is basically is from your literature gap. For qualitative, to confirm that that literature gap, okay, is actually applicable for your research, then you might want to interview some. Just to confirm on your concept, just now, on the gap just now. That's why you need to do preliminary interview. Because there's no one else to confirm except for some experts that can tell you, betul lah, this is the problem. Yeah, it's correct. These are the problems. You don't have to calculate the sample size because you are not doing quantitative. All right? Yeah, in quantitative, dia panggil as pilot study. In qualitative, we call it as preliminary study. Some would call it as preliminary investigation. So it's about the same thing, just to confirm your concept.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Salam.
Maksudnya tadi, adakah orang yang kita interview untuk preliminary tu kan, orang investigation awal tu, dia adalah lain daripada potential participant.
Dia boleh jadi sama.
Okey.
Tetapi
Maksudnya orang yang pertama tu hanya untuk mengesahkan yang memang ada problem dalam kita punya tajuk dan ada dengan konsep-konsep yang kita cuba ketengahkan, hanya untuk mengesahkan. Okay.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
And then if you interview him or her for the second time, it's already the detailed part of your investigation. Soalan you lain. Okay, your question can be different. Not your question can. Your question will be different, and your question will be similar to those others that you are going to interview for the second time. Okay, all right.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Yes, Waalaikumsalam.
Nak tanya, is it okay kalau kita ada, maksudnya kita ada two phase of interview session kan? Macam first phase untuk kita dapatkan problem atau current issue. Then second phase untuk kita like validate our findings lah. Is it okay to have both from the same people as interviewee?
Yes, because your questions that you are going to ask for the preliminary interview will not be the same as the question that you're going to ask for the second in-depth interview. Okay, does that answer your question?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Yes, Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, I have a question. So it sounds to me that qualitative research is the origin of quantitative research.
Yes.
Alright.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
is there any condition where quanti have already been done on the topic, and then we can still conduct qualitative research on that topic?
Basically, you can do that. Okay, if let's say there are more elements that you need to dig, which is not has been quantified yet. There's still, areas that you can still explore. You can do that.
Right, thank you.
Okay, next slide. All of you have got the slide, right? Slide number 10, please. Okay. Like I said, in any research, whether it is quantitative or qualitative, we need to have philosophical assumption. This is the chapter that you need to write well. What drives you to the qualitative method that you are using? Okay, I think I better use the word approach, all right? Because when you talk about methods, it's already a different thing. Okay. Methods is more on the techniques and the tools of this, all right? So what are the assumptions? And why are you looking into that area of research? So you need to know the assumptions, because assumptions will give you the paradigm, all right? And paradigm will shape your methodology, your approach. And once you know your approach, then you can design your work. Once you are able to design your work, then you know what data to collect. All right? Okay. So basically, if you can put this, okay, I think in every methodology chapter, you need to start with the assumptions, paradigm, then you go into your approach, methodology, and your research design then will be your methods. There's a difference between each and every of these, right? Okay. Why do I have to start with assumptions? Next slide. Okay. Why do we need to start with assumptions? What are the assumptions, underlying assumptions for qualitative research? That will be in your next slide, page 11. All right. Generally, okay, there are 4 assumptions, but when you read Creswell will give you wrong spellings, the rhetorical refer to the language of research. All right. Exactly. It depends on the book that you read, but most books, they will give you like this particular 4 assumptions. What are these assumptions? Ontological assumptions. Based on the ontological assumptions that you believe muhasabah, okay, has many meanings. And different people would actually understood it differently. So there are the multiple realities exist. Okay, you have multiple realities. And not just that, and in order for you to understand what muhasabah is all about, you need to ask people who participate, okay, in your research, what do they understand by that meaning? This is what epistemological is all about. That means you are trying to get the knowledge from them. Okay, the knowledge and the true meaning of muhasabah in the context, in practice. What are they? All right. So that is epistemological. So in order for you to know more about it, right? So you need to find it out from the participant. Okay. Okay, that is epistemological, right? Researcher and participant co-create the meaning. You ask them questions, they reply to you, and they give the answers in their context, and you already have some preconceived idea about what muhasabah is all about. Then you do some, your communication and your interaction between you and your participants would give you the answer to what muhasabah is all about, right? So that is epistemological. Any question?
Dengan si Kara.
Yeah?
Yang final.
Tapi backup lah. Yeah, Aswan.
Assumptions underlying qualitative research. Must be the
You have a question, Aswan?
No, Prof.
Okay, because I see your hand is raised. So that's why I thought that you have a question.
Excuse me, Professor, can I ask a question?
Yeah?
Okay.
Doktor,
Ya.
saya nak tanya, untuk ontological epistemology yang benda-benda ni kan, memang kita kena explain sekali dalam literature review atau macam mana?
Bukan literature
Maksudnya
review,
kita
you
kena-
know. It's not in your
sorry,
literature review, in your methodology, yeah.
Methodology. I see. Maksudnya memang kena highlight ontological, apa maksud dia, kena explain.
And then, yes, when you explain all this, you will have to explain it from the context of your literature and how you blend it with your study. For example, just now that I think your friend Afifah, is it Afifah? Okay, we're talking about muhasabah just now, right? So you need to relate the multiple realities of muhasabah. That muhasabah can be interpreted in many ways. So the outcome of this particular study, okay, shows that, okay, there exists multiple realities. The ontological assumption says that muhasabah have got these particular multiple realities. And it is contextual in the sense that maybe you want to talk about what? Muhasabah among whom? Is it among teachers and students in schools? That's what it means by contextual. Context means who are your, I would say, interviewees? The people, who are the participants in your research? Okay, that is contextual. And in order for you to know that multiple realities, that's where you as a researcher, you are going to interview whom? Because only by participating into this particular research with whoever your interviewees are, or you want to say that with the school teachers or the school children, that you will be able to know more about muhasabah.
Excuse me, Professor, can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. I want to doing research about doing modification of traditional toys to become a kind of therapeutic tools.
Modification of traditional toys.
Yes.
Okay.
And my question is, so I do interview to the expert because I'm occupational therapist. So should I interview OT only, or I should also doing interview to parents and then special teachers and also culture expert, Professor?
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, and it's a very interesting one because you're talking about, okay, in your area, you are trying to turn the toys, the traditional toys, into something that can actually be a therapy to your patients.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. In this particular context, what you can do is, okay, yes, definitely parents, teachers, okay, they are part of the people that you want to
Use the traditional toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
basically, you want to know whether these traditional elements, okay, or toys can be converted to something that can help. All right. So in that particular context, you may need to interview several people, and especially people who are an expert in the culture or that particular traditional, making that traditional toys as well.
Okay.
If you know people who makes it, it's even much better. And definitely from there, behind that, right, there must be someone who asks them to do it. So you will be able to ask them who actually initiate this, who asked you to make this and turn this into something that can assist you. So they will give some names. Go to that person. That's how you get your respondent or your interviewees.
Okay. So by that way, so I can gathering more comprehensive information related to this.
Yes.
Okay,
So
thank you.
that actually supports you in terms of why you are trying to research on this particular area.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Most welcome.
Prof, can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
So for this assumption, does it mean that this is from the literature that we already read? And then we come up with our assumption. Like for me, I want to explore on the perception of mother regarding emotional intelligence and how this emotional intelligence can prevent from early mental health. So does it mean I assume that there will be like multiple meanings? So I choose ontological.
And not you choose. The ontological will lead you to what you are doing. You assume that, okay, in your context, you assume that because the area are able to give you the multiple realities, okay, that means various different outcomes, and that's the reason why you are doing qualitative. This one is like a justification on how it leads you to your qualitative research. Okay, that's what assumptions here means. So
Okay,
if
got
you
it.
understand, yes, you got it? Okay. And that's why you need to understand this so that when people ask you, all right, your examiner asks you, why you do qualitative? This is your reasoning. This is your justification on why you are doing that. Because in reality, when we talk about the concept that I am bringing, okay, for this research, it does give several different answers. I may perceive it this way, but the interviewees or participants might think it another way. And because of that, I will enrich my knowledge in the area. This is why, okay, this is what the concept of epistemological will come into the picture. Okay, my knowledge will be enhanced when I interact with my participants. Okay, the terms that the concept that I'm bringing in now will be expanded. So I will have more knowledge about it. So once I have more knowledge about it, okay, that justify why this qualitative research, okay, is a method that I should be using because that's what I want to do. So it helps you in that sense. Okay, methodological. What does it mean? You started off with, okay, in this particular qualitative study, normally you start with a bigger concept, and then after that you will narrow it down. And whatever the interaction between you and your participants is very much giving you some additional knowledge. And with that particular additional knowledge that you have, all right, you will make some kind of interpretation what the muhasabah is all about, for example. Or why converting the traditional toys into a mechanism for your therapy just now, okay, would actually help your patient, right? So from your knowledge that you get from the participants just now, you are able to interpret. And that is important. The inquiry becomes very natural and you are able to make sense out of it. Okay, that's what methodological is all about. And another one is axiological. What does axiological means? You acknowledge that different participants have got different ideas and values. So you cannot actually get that out of them. Okay, cannot get rid of it. You have to take into consideration the values that they have. Okay, like when you talk about converting the traditional toys just now, you speak to whom? You speak to people who are an expert in the local culture. Definitely they'll talk to you about the values of that particular toys. And you cannot get rid of it. You have to acknowledge the existence of culture in that traditional toys. And how do you think those values, okay, and that particular context can be helping you in your data collection and your study, your findings? How would it actually influence that? Because like you and me, we come from different background, all right? So definitely there are some ways on how you are being brought up and how I am being brought up. So I carry with me some values, you carry with you some values as well. So when I interview you about muhasabah, the way that you're going to explain about it may not be the same with I do. Right? So in that particular context, your friend just now who interviewed both of us will get two different stories, okay, out of each and every one of us. Because of the values and the context that I am in and yours is not the same, and that cannot be eliminated. You have to take that into consideration. So you have to take culture into consideration and whatever beliefs, okay, you have behind that traditional toys, which you need to take into consideration when you write your findings later. Okay? That's why, okay, these assumptions, okay, verify why I must do qualitative. This is my justification of doing qualitative research. Okay. If you look at Creswell talks about rhetorical. Okay, it's more on the language of research. Okay, in some discipline, they accept when you write your thesis, you use I. I did this, I did that. Okay, but in certain disciplines, they don't acknowledge it. That you are referring yourself as I, as a researcher. And because it's all about rhetorical, all right? So that's the reason why it is not being included as part of the underlying assumptions that I'm sharing with you by most of the authors, because, okay, it is only accepted by various disciplines. Some disciplines accept it, some don't, right? So generally, the 4 is crucial for you to actually explain it.
Prof, if I may ask.
Yep.
I just want to confirm because this assumption constitute the justification for conducting qualitative research. Is it a must for us to show that all those assumptions, these 4 assumptions, are fulfilled in our research, or let's say just 3 out of 4 is fulfilled? Is it still considered justified to conduct qualitative research?
You need to have this particular 4 for you to actually, not really just, but assumptions that you need to fulfill in order for you to give your, to do your qualitative. The reason, basically assumptions is the reason why you move to qualitative.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
Any other question?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
My name is Zulkarnain. Prof, my question is that in terms of this assumption, what if I use another paradigm that namely such as like pragmatic, constructivist, positivist? Is that considered as an assumption as well?
Okay, is your constructivist qualitative? Is qualitative? Usually constructivist, okay, dia relate dengan interpretive. Okay, it's when it is interpretive, it leads you to qualitative, and qualitative, this is your assumptions. Because of these assumptions, okay, it leads to another paradigm. All right. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, your next slide is about a paradigm, how you see the world. Okay, it's your worldview. But if you are using, let's say you are doing studies on kiranya Islamic studies, you will have another Islamic worldview, yeah? How you see the world through the lens of what? Maqasid Syariah or whatever other lens, right, that you have in Islamic studies, and you might want to blend that in. In my context, I have to blend that in because I'm looking at this particular practices through the lens of Islamic worldview. So I have elements of Maqasid Sharia. So in this particular case, your worldview just now will be based on those particular assumptions. And basically those assumptions, not necessarily it's like a qualitative only. And those particular assumptions will lead you to several paradigms. Positivist, single or measurable reality. Let's say you have multiple realities, but you're only picking up one single measurable reality. All right. So your study becomes quanti. All right. And if you want to stick to the multiple realities, then it's qualitative. You also have the paradigm of critical and transformative, which is shaped by the power. That's critical, qualitative. And you have the pragmatist, okay, that really depends on what works. It can be quali, it can be quanti. That's why you end up with mixed method, because you believe that every qualitative research needs to be supported with a quantitative research, because the area that you are doing, okay, will only be valid or solid or grounded when you do both methods. So you are looking at your research or your paradigm looking into this world as pragmatist approach. All right. So this is basically just a paradigm on how it would shape your study after this. Any question on this one? But different books that you read, they have a lot. Paradigm, there are a lot, but I'm only choosing the one that's common. Okay, commonly being used in social sciences. All right, positivist, interpretivist, or constructivist. All right, critical or transformative, and pragmatist. If you ask me, mine and the possibility of yours just now, those who ask questions are very much number 2. Okay, interpretivist or constructivist, because you want to construct some sort, like, you know, a foundation to what you are building up. So you want to build up to say that traditional toys can be converted into something that help with the help you with your patient. So you are constructing something out of that. So like in mine is more interpretive. I think your friend who talked about muhasabah is also interpretive just now. And same goes to the, apa satu lagi yang teaching Any question? We are at slide number 12. We have like 40 slides.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning, Prof.
Salam. Good morning.
Shamsul.
Okay.
My question is pertaining to our previous slide just now, co-creating meaning between researcher and participant. So with regards to being positivist, so how does making the reality measurable helps for both participants and also researcher to co-create meaning? That's one. And secondly, so this meaning to be co-created, how do we come up with that? Seek for your advice. Thank you.
All right. Basically, you're talking about how the epistemology, right? We are talking about your interaction with your participants. So in the context of you and participants, and if you want to stick to qualitative research, you tend to be quite engaged with your participants, and they're bound to be some biasness. Okay, you might want to believe what they say fully, so you need to stop that particular biasness. But if you are talking about from the positivist lens, okay, it's positivism. You are talking about, you know that, oh, there are things between you and your participants, right? They're bound to be some biases, because some quantitative research, they will start with qualitative first, right, to get some insights. And once they got some insights, then they start to move into quantitative. You can actually do that. All right. We will touch on that later on. So in that particular,
thank you.
Okay, in that particular context, like you know that when you and your participants, there's a co-creation of knowledge there. You need to ensure that you, and then another thing, you need to ensure that there's no biasness between both of you. All right, and you feel that there are so many other people who are also thinking the same way like your participant. So what you can do is you already think on one particular direction already, and this you feel that that's correct and that's the only way to do it. You are no longer looking at many perceptions. Now it's only one. Once you start looking at it on one particular lens of a positivist, your study becomes quantitative. Does that answer your question?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
All right. So it depends on how you look at that particular co-creation just now, okay? Between you and your participants. So in my context, that when I engage with the participants, in terms of getting the knowledge, the way I see it is that, it means that different people that I will be interviewing, I will definitely get more knowledge and more answers. So I think I want to proceed with it. So because why? I want to understand the meaning. So when I decided that I want to understand the meaning of that multiple realities, then I already jump into interpretism. So I have to start doing qualitative. Like you can also be pragmatist, okay, pragmatism in the concept, okay, Cik Samsul. Initially, you have this particular interview, you think that, okay, ada multiple realities. But you, from that particular various outcome and from your literature support, you think that you want to focus only on one reality, right? Then you start doing quantitative. That means from your initial quali, you end up with quanti. That is number 4. Or it can be the other way around. It can be the other way around as well. You start with quanti, then there's something that actually bothers you and you want to find out more and you need to do some interviews. Okay.
So in that,
yes.
So in that particular instance, as if like quantitative will support the qualitative for that
it can be that way.
reality. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you.
Right. But remember, if you really want to do mixed method, the weightage of your qualitative and quantitative must be of the same weight. Okay, it cannot be partially. Let's say if it's less than 50%, it is not considered as mixed method. It's considered as a triangulation technique. That means you just want to validate your data. You just want to validate your finding. That's what that one. Okay, that process is called a strangulation, and that one is just a process to increase the credibility of your work. Any question? I hope I still remember what I have scribbled. Okay.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah.
After we do triangulation analysis, so we need to construct our conceptual about my research, for example, like that.
How can you
yeah, actually in my first stage of my research, I do the first one is observational studies to comparing comparing the ADHD child and then the typical child when
Okay, all right.
yeah. And then the second one is I do literature review to gathering the previous research about the traditional toys. And then the third stage is I do interview to the stakeholder of related to OT and then parents and then special teacher and also culture expert. And after that, I do triangulation analysis. And yeah, is it enough when I do triangulation analysis, or I still need to construct another finding or another conceptual related to yes.
You must understand that, okay, triangulation that I was talking about just now is only just one particular way for you to validate your data. All right? Okay, it's just to validate your data. Triangulation is just to validate your data. Okay, to add credibility so that people can rely on your work, all right? And people can actually use your work. So the way that what you are already doing is basically sufficient for you to do your write-up. That means you are doing a purely qualitative. So you can actually use other ways of making sure that your data is actually valid. I will touch on that after this. Okay?
Okay,
I will touch on that after this. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we move to the next slide?
Please.
You all okay? That I continue or you need a break? You let me know. I can talk until 3 hours. So you all are listening. So I'm not sure whether you can survive or not listening for 3 hours. But if you ask me, I can just talk for the 3 hours. Because my intention is to get the slide done. It's already it's only our page 13. Okay. So when we talk about research methodology, okay, from the paradigm just now you want to determine your methodology. To understand the research methodology, there are 3 major approaches which people normally use for their research, all right? That is qualitative and quantitative and mixed method. So which method you are going to use will depend on your research question. And if your research question is asking more on how much, it's already there's a dollar and there's a value there. It's a quantity kind of thing. So you may end up with quantitative. And if let's say you ask why, you ask how, so you will normally end up with qualitative. Okay. So if you have a combination of both, then you might end up with mixed method. And how are you going to know that? It all comes back to your issues and the problems that you want to look at. Okay. So that's how you normally will actually determine your method, whether quali, quanti, or mixed. Okay, next. Okay, the next slide that we have is on the qualitative research design.
My apology, Prof. Just another question.
Okay.
Just to get to confirm whether my understanding is correct.
Okay.
So back to triangulation for validation. So basically, whether my understanding is correct. So basically, with more research methodology approach, for example, we combine in a mixed methods. So the arguments will be better validated under the triangulation concept. Do I understand correctly, Doctor? Please.
you can do that as one of it. But remember, when you start using quantitative, they also have their way of validating the data that you have using statistical method. Right? If you use statistics, there's a way for you to do that. Yeah. But basically, when you talk about the kind of triangulation I was talking about just now, is very much to validate your qualitative data.
Understand, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
So, Doctor, that means if we use METS methods, we have to have two validation techniques. Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. You are correct.
All right, Doctor. Thank you.
Most welcome. Okay, for the next slide. All right, tak tukar lagi, it's not changing. Okay, never mind, since most of you, I think you have my slide, right? Okay, right, okay. So for the qualitative research design, in qualitative, just now we are talking about approach. Approach, you have 3 approaches, right? Quali, quanti, and mixed. And in quali, let's say you have decided to go for quali, and in quali, you have many design. What kind of design do you want? Okay, so it's like you're choosing a house. What kind of design you want? Detached, semi-detached, all right? Or so you are the one who's going to choose it. Whether you will go for case study, or you want to go for ethnography, or you want to go for phenomenology, or you want to go for grounded theory. If you are an advanced researcher, right? If you are an advanced researcher, you can mix the method. But I'm not encouraging you to actually mix, but in the context of choosing which design, you can go for a case study, right? Then you can go for ethnography, phenomenology, and grounded theory. And the common one that are normally being used are actually the case. We are talking about a case study. All right, whether you want to go for a single case study or multiple case study or embedded case study, it's all depending on your multiple realities that you want to research on. All right. So there are several types of case study: single case, multiple case, and embedded case. So whatever case study, basically, whether it's case study or any other design, your question will always be how and why. And it has to be within the real life context. So the sources of how you're going to collect your data, I think like most of the qualitative research is interviews, documents, archival records, okay? Sometimes you have direct observations, and you also have participant observations, or you can look at any artifacts, okay, depending on the kind of study that you are in. And you can use all these multiple sources of evidence for your triangulation just now. Okay, the process of triangulation, okay, need not be like quali to support quanti or quanti to support the quali. When we talk about data triangulation, if you have interviewed someone and someone talks about a certain terminology, you can actually refer to another document that talks about the same thing. For example, in my case, okay, I interviewed the general manager, and the general manager mentioned about that their organization, okay, the way how they work are very much influenced by the strategic planning that they do. It's about making sure that they can achieve their objective is through that strategic action plan. Okay, what I did for the triangulation to make sure what he said is correct, I also asked the same question to another participant. Okay, how do you use your strategic action plan? Does it have any meaning? It seems that the answer that they give, though answered differently, but both of them are referring to the same document. And after that, I asked them if they can share that strategic action plan blueprint. So when they share, from there you see that, oh, it's true that when they do their work, the one that guides them in doing their work to achieve their KPI is that particular strategic blueprint. So that is one way for you to do your data triangulation. Quanti and quali or quanti, okay, is methodological triangulation. You have two types of triangulation. Methodological triangulation, another one is data triangulation. So in the context that I'm talking about just now is the data triangulation. Okay, information from one person validated by information from another person and validated with the document that they have, okay, talking about the similar things. So that is called as data triangulation. So when your outcome is validated by another outcome, okay, using different method, that is methodological triangulation. Either you have more more percentage of quali and small percentage of quanti just to validate your findings in qualitative. That is methodological triangulation, or the other way around. You have like most of your work are quantitative and you have a small portion of qualitative just to validate your findings in your quantitative method. That is called as methodological triangulation.
Nicely put, Doctor. As if you read my mind. I'm doing on that actually. On like if I may share, it's about force redeployment. So on the other hand, when it comes to quantitative part of the method, so basically numbers might not, what do you call that, might not be used to uphold certain arguments, where, for example, the KPI or the objective of the strategic planning of the company might be for one side. But on the other hand, when it comes to the employees' side, it's not more on that, but more on their livelihood and proper governance at the workplace, for example. So how can Doctor share more on this for my better understanding? Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, all right. So basically, you need a little bit of interview just to actually support your quantitative findings just now. So basically, you need to do that's what you call as the methodological triangulation, just to confirm that, okay, these people are doing it this way, but the employees are not supporting them in that sense. So you actually prove it. So once you prove that particular findings, then that is what we call as the methodological triangulation, right? I can't remember the name, but some of your Creswell, if I'm not mistaken, all right, did talk about there's one book by Creswell on quali or quantitative, if I'm not mistaken. So I think if you need to read on that one, I think why not? That will give you more information about it. Okay, next slide, please. So I have to refer the slides from my phone as well. I thought that I've printed it basically. Typical, I would say, old lady kata orang. You print it, you put it nicely in front on the table. Then after that, you know what happened? I left it at home. Now I still have to refer to the phone. Okay, this is what ethnography is all about. Okay, I'm not encouraging you to do ethnography. Okay, why? It takes time. And if you are doing like documentary, like National Geographic, where you, the kind of program that you want to actually have is all about the life of someone, right? So you need to actually live with that person and share whatever that they eat and whatever clothing that they wear to actually understand more about these meanings. Then you do ethnography. For work purpose, okay, coming up with a documentary programs, then fine, you can actually use ethnography. But unless your field requires it, okay, then that's different. So it's very much anthropology and with a little bit of interpretism, because you have to interpret, okay? Why? When you look at the pictures here, right, that I've showed with you, I've shown you here, okay, you're talking about the building. What is it that you can talk about, okay, when you look at this particular building? Okay, you want to know the meaning of it, and you want to know more about it living in that particular building. You need to actually participate by staying there with them, all right? Wear their clothes, okay? Participate in their whatever events, eat whatever they eat, then you will be able to explain clearly and understand very well, okay, the reason behind this cultural belief, all right? So the methods that is normally being used for ethnography are prolonged fieldwork. That's why I say prolonged, all right? Participant observation, field notes, interviews, that's normal. Okay, your outcome will be the cultural portrait or thick description about this particular pictures, about the people inside this particular picture. So if, let's say, I want to know more about the workplace culture of a teaching hospital or zakat organization, that means I have to join them as their workforce. Then I will know more about it. And it's not easy for you to just simply join them as a workforce, because your reason to be there is actually to study about them. So you have to stay long with, you have to stay quite some time with them. Okay, this is what it says there, prolonged field work. 6 months is not enough, because you have to rotate from one department to another department, at least to understand the culture of certain department. It takes you like maybe 6 months. So if that particular organization or company has like 10 departments, so believe me, 6 months for each department, you have what, 60 months? How many years will that be? Itu just to collect your data. When are you going to write? It'll take you some time. You can't actually finish it within 3 to 4 years. All right. So if it's for work purposes, then it's fine. Okay, next will be phenomenology. So for phenomenology, basically, you want to understand the essence of lived experience. That means you want to understand the person who actually works in that particular area. So for your friend just now who talks about the traditional toys, all right, you may want to have some elements of phenomenology there. Yours is more of like a phenomenology if you are talking about how it would actually work in the context of your study, all right? Because you're going to do in-depth interview, some reflective writings, and you need to have some diaries for you to collect your data. In the real context of research, you can actually have mixed, okay, kind of design. But for your PhD purposes, I think it's best for you to choose just one particular design to help you. All right. I chose case study as my main, but in terms of looking into the outcome and the explanation, I have a little bit of phenomenology there, but I did explain a bit about it, okay, because my purpose is to actually explain. Okay, so yes, any question? Who's talking? Okay, that is normally we will use like for PhD phenomenology or case study. All right. So let's go to your slide number 18. Okay. So it captures participants' subjective experience, okay? But remember, you have to suspend your researcher's preconception. It means that when you want to interview them, make sure you don't have any preconceived idea about the issues or about that particular person. All right? So detach yourself, free yourself from thinking something else negative that can influence the interview. So that is very important for you as a researcher. Okay? So you just you may not like what they say, but you just have to keep your mouth shut. All right? So detach yourself from whatever answers that's going to be given there by the participants, even if you don't like it. But think it along the way that why are they talking about this? Why do they say it this way? You know that it's not the correct way, but why are they doing it? Take your time to understand it, okay? Make sense out of it. Because that would give you a very rich findings for your research. Okay, next, any question on this one?
Prof,
yep.
If I may ask one question.
Okay.
Under case study also, that's Prof did mention that from your slide, the sources of collecting the evidence is also can go through interviews. And also we can explore in depth through case study design. But at the same time, in phenomenology also, we can do in-depth interview, and we also can have to understand the essence of like I cannot
differentiate.
Still not clear, what is
between case study and phenomenology?
Correct, Prof.
Okay. Case study, you already have specific organization that you want to actually explore. For example, I'm choosing zakat institution. I choose Lembaga Zakat Selangor. I choose wilayah. I choose, these two particular organization. And I'm only studying on these two organization only. Nothing outside this organization. That's a case. When you are not having that particular context, like, specifying it into a certain individual or organization or event or a process, right? Then that's phenomenology. Maknanya you open. That's a phenomena.
I see.
So you tak really specify siapa-siapa. If it's an event, a specific event, for example, Asian Summit, which one? 2025. So you just study on that one. That's a case. One particular case. But when we are talking about your events, okay, then you are any events. So you're going to interview people who actually have organized events, any kind of events. Then that is phenomenology.
Assalamualaikum Doktor. Maksudnya kalau misal kata kita dah ada organisasi yang kita nak kaji, tu dikira case study. Tetapi subjek yang kita nak interview tu boleh jadi fenomenologi.
Boleh.
Maksudnya kita study sekolah. Sekolah tu maksudnya dia dah jadi case study, tetapi oleh kerana kita nak dapatkan data tu daripada misal kata guru tu adalah participant dan murid tu adalah sebagai dia punya informant. So maksudnya itu boleh kita menjurus kepada fenomenologi.
Boleh.
Maksudnya kalau misal kata bila kita interview dia cerita tu terlalu luas dan ada mungkin cerita-cerita buruk tu, maksudnya kita cuba faham lah dari sudut fenomenologi tu.
Yes. Boleh.
Cumanya case study ni dia kena maksudnya bila kita dah ada organisasi, kita ada fenomenologi, case study tu maksudnya dokumen-dokumen yang berkaitan dengan organisasi tu yang kita akan validate untuk kita punya interview tu.
So bila kata case study hanya organisasi tu saja. Kalau you kata sekolah menengah Puncak Alam itu sahaja. So you tak boleh like expand it to other schools.
Okay, baik. Faham.
If you are talking about any sekolah menengah, then it's purely phenomenology. But you dah specific of organisation tu memang it's a combination. You can actually combine it, tapi you kena pandai lah to combine. You must know how to actually look into both of this particular organisation. Like me, like what you said just now, mine is actually a combination of a case study. That because I am studying each and every level and see how they react and how they respond, okay, then, and there are some elements of behavioral there. That's where the element of phenomenological elements comes into the picture. It's not like you choose one, it's only one. No, not necessarily. It can also be individual. Normally if you study about one particular person, an individual, and it's only the case is only about that one person, and you want to use ethnography, you can do that. You can like you become friend with that person only, live with that person only, understand him or he only. So it's that combination, but it has to be a long period. Yes, question just now.
Assalamualaikum Prof. Untuk case study, adakah valid kalau kita hanya interview satu manager saja? Atau kita perlu tanya beberapa manager dalam satu hotel tu? Contoh sebab saya buat projek berkaitan dengan hotels. So kalau case study saya perlu pilih satu atau dua hotels and then cari similarities ke, atau saya perlu cari 3 atau 4 lagi hotels untuk cari versus atau.
Okay, when you study hotels, when you study about the hotel, what is it that you want to find out about the hotel?
Nak cari about a new trend which is we work from hotel. Is a combination of you work, selalunya kalau kita working can be in office or in co-working space, but kali ni saya nak kaji about why not kita working inside the hotel space. So saya nak tanya pada manager, adakah trend ni dah start in Malaysia, because dekat overseas semua dah start jadikan hotel space sebagai part of co-working space. So saya nak tanya pada manager, adakah teori saya ni valid? Adakah Malaysia ni dah start implement that kind of trend in hotels?
Okay.
Macam tu saya
okay, so basically you want to know that particular trend, and it's not in, memang to make the decision is basically the manager, whether to allow or not the hotel to actually provide a co-working space, right? Am I correct?
Betul, Doktor.
Okay.
Betul,
so, okay, it's okay. So let's say that's what you are studying, and if you only interview one person, and it wouldn't be sufficient. And you may want to find out as well from other hotels whether the general manager is alert on this particular issue, and would they actually allow them to provide a co-working space or not. So you may have to choose several hotels. And when you talk about hotels, you have 5-star, you have 3-star, 4-star. So you may want to have them as well to be interviewed.
I see. Kalau itu dikategori sebagai phenomenological atau case study?
That one lebih phenomenological. Sebab you tak ada specific hotel kan?
Betul. Okay, thank you so much, Doctor.
Unless you want to study on how, apa lagi hotel ada? Okay. a simple example. You just want to study on that particular trend, whether hotel, mardiah and suites would actually apply it. Then you specify the name of the hotel, and you're going to study on hotel mardiah only. And that's where interviewing only the general manager is not sufficient. You have to interview other staff as well. Because why?
I see. Maksudnya can be satu hotel atau dua hotel saja is sufficient, tapi provided kena tanya general manager and the staff juga.
Everyone involved. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof.
Alright.
Tapi kalau saya hanya nak tanya berkaitan dengan trend, saya kena tanya beberapa hotels, which is akan jadi phenomenological.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof.
Okay, and then the hotels pun, maybe you want to specify, like I said, sebab you have because I'm sure examiner will ask, why this hotel? How do you choose the hotel managers? So you need to be clear on your participants. Whether it's going to you're going to be 5-star hotel only, or you have 4-star hotel, or 3-star, or it's just a blanket hotel managers. So be clear on your population that you want to have. Even though it's qualitative, you still have other population.
And how population?
Itulah maksudnya population.
7. Contoh saya kena kalau phenomenological.
Pardon?
Okay, maksudnya saya kena buat population, maksudnya dalam Kuala Lumpur atau Bukit Bintang, berapa banyak hotel yang ada?
Yes. You still need to yes. Why only in Kuala Lumpur and why only in Selangor, or why the justification of choosing it must be very clear. And when you know, how are you going to actually choose, what the things that can help you is from your reading of your articles. Definitely they will specify those trends in certain hotels, right? If you can find out whether most of it happen in 5-star or 4-star or whatever, or in big cities or small cities, that will actually help you.
I see. Okay, sekarang saya lagi clear, Prof.
Okay,
so much
alright. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Most welcome. Okay, let's move to the next one, the next slide. Grounded theory. Okay, grounded theory is like you don't know anything much about it and you just jump into doing the research. No, I think it's not advisable. All right. So your concept when you jump in is like it's rather shaky. So you just want to find out. For example, when you look at this particular route, you nak tahu kenapa dia punya why are the roots, right? They are so strong and there are so many roots and you want to know what causes it to be that way. But you don't have from your reading, nothing was actually mentioned, okay, well, from your reading about this particular situation. So you just jump into your research and just observe and ask people around it and you just, do your own research. So it will take time. Because there are no clear concept. So when something that is not clear and you try to do research on that particular area, I'm not saying that it cannot be done. It can be done, but if you are not doing it for a qualification, right? You are doing it for your profession, you are already a researcher, fine, go ahead. But if you are doing it for a qualification that have got time frame, okay, 3 to 4 years to complete it when you do it full time, then forget about grounded theory. Okay. So, all right, okay. Application of qualitative research.
Doktor, bagi contoh,
yes.
Doktor, satu.
Apa dia?
Grounded theory tu, apa yang boleh contohkan?
Okay, one of the example of a grounded theory that has been done is that, okay, this one particular professor who who is actually looking into how dia nak create theory, how fish swim.
Oh.
How fish swim. Yelah, as a layman like us, dia masuk dalam air, okay, it goes, fish will swim in the water, right? That's all we know. And then they have fins, they have all that for them to swim. But you don't know much about the detail of how they swim. So what this particular professor did is that he will actually observe, I don't know how long it takes, that how this particular fish swim from one end to another end, what they do. So they will actually record it for several hours, several days, several months to see the pattern, right? Only after a while, it's only one fish. What about other fishes? So it will take time, because once they see that pattern, then they will start to look at another different type of fish.
Oh my.
All right. How many fish do we have? How many? So there are a lot. So I think it's either you dive first or you get the theory first. It depends. Unless you have some, guide or a full stop somewhere and only looking into one particular fish, then fine. Why are you looking into that particular fish? That's also another reason, all right? So normally these are being done for those people who makes documentaries, right? You watch National Geographic, just imagine, right? They are talking about how eagle flies and the life of an eagle. What kind of eagle? The eagle that what do you call that? Yang live dekat mountainside tu. It takes them years, ages to actually just to film that particular documentary. So if that's part of your work, then it's fine. But if you are saying that, okay, you want to do PhD on that, then it will take a lot of time. Okay, is that clear for you?
Your answer is very deep.
Okay.
Yes, it's very clear as well, Doctor. Say, for example, like if I put it in my situation, I would say it has always been, what do you call that, widely accepted that the right to transfer is under the discretion of the company, for example. So by now, it has been confined to a company, which is private sector. On the other hand, this particular theory can still be called a theory because, say, for example, it can be by using number 1 to number 5 for the process in terms of a data analysis. It can be say later on shown that no, in reality, in this particular instance, both parties matters. So the purpose for my question just now, once something was actually regarded as a grounded theory, but later on be challenged, and so does this fall under that under this particular what do you call that slide as well? Can that be applied, Doctor? But on the other hand, your answer just now actually give me insights, good insights that can be applied to all as well. Doctor, thank you.
All right. Okay. So basically, I think you can relate it in the context of this particular grounded theory procedures. Okay, for you to be able to break the data into in understanding the discrete part of it takes time, right? So like you said, when you're talking about your study just now, people can actually further dispute it, and then the kind of data that you're going to collect will never end. So if you are starting with something from nothing, zero, no solid concepts or theory, then it's going to be very difficult for you to establish a good study. Because our intention is that when we do our study, the findings from our study could actually help practitioners, okay, in their work. That's our intention. But you must remember when you do PhD, it's not about the practitioners that you are looking at, all right? So you need to know as well, what are the things that can help the academics? That's their contribution to the body of knowledge and to the practitioners and to the community and the government. So nowadays, we are talking about all this. So you must make sure that when you do it, you are able to serve these particular elements. Okay, the apa sekarang dah apa quadruple helix whatever. So you look at that.
Understand, doctor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Understand. Thank you.
So at least you know that okay, I can stop now. All right. So if you are not able to do that, then you will keep on prolonging your data collection. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So normally qualitative research can be used, okay, in the context of understanding organizational culture or human behavior, all right? Exploring lived experiences, okay, like leadership, stress, ethics, okay, investigating emerging or poorly understood phenomena, and developing grounded theories in social sciences and management. Next. So in the next slide, okay, page 22, you can see these are some of the examples, all right? Studying learning styles among postgraduate students. This is phenomenology, all right? You did not actually mention which particular postgraduate students, things like that. So it's about their learning styles. And if you explore community participation in a community gardening program for children, okay, this is what ethnography is all about. Okay, you participate together with them, and let's say if you have like several programs, the participants will be coming from various backgrounds, and it can be different people, different day, right? So you need to actually give some time for you to actually understand the participation of these particular children in whatever program that you decided to have, all right? And then another one is examining governance failure in public projects. This can be a case study. It's a government public projects. It can be many public projects, and you may want to actually focus on how do you know all this. One way for you to get the data for this is from the audit report about the program. Okay, the projects that they have initiated, how long would it take? But I don't know to what extent that you will be able to get the data for this one. Because in certain countries, examining governance failure in public projects, normally they have like the auditors, okay, the government auditors will actually issue a report on every project initiated by the government. Okay, in countries, especially developed countries, for example, Australia, they do have it, right? So I remember that during those time, when I did my master's, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So when you are studying on this particular public projects, you want to see whether this particular public project, all right, started at the right time and end at a stipulated time, the one that is given, the one that they have already identified, okay? So we studied on the project management of all the government projects. So we are supposed to make some comparison between Australia and Malaysia. In Australia, all these particular audit reports, okay, basically related to government projects are publicly available. However, during those times, okay, in Malaysia, it's not publicly available. So we got it from maybe some friends or that works in government audit department, and we were actually, after that we all got the letter from the Auditor General telling us not to actually use that particular report for our study. It's confidential. So that's where okay, you may face problem in getting your data. So in order for you to do your research, make sure you find out first whether, all right, you are able to collect all this data, whether they're going to share this data with you or not. Because some data are not publicly available and you have to get some permission to use it. So you need to acknowledge all this inside your thesis. And some, basically, when you interview those involved in the public projects, they may not want you to name them, all right, or put their position. So it can be, you can use embargo. You just can say that, okay, because that you got a letter saying that it cannot be publicly available, but if you still want to do it for your research, all right, you must make sure that they are anonymous. So this is what it means by embargo. All right, you categorize the case. Sometimes it's case study as well. Selalu case study lah. Normally they don't want you to put their names. So you can categorize it as case study A, case study B. All right, but you must make sure that you attach as an appendix, okay, the letter saying they allow you to do the study on their company, but to make it anonymous. So at least once you have that, then when examiner reads your thesis, all right, so they are clear that who the case study, which company that you are actually researching on, and why that you are putting it as case study A and case study B. Especially when you study on fraud, right? Fraud investigation, like financial crime. Normally you have to actually keep their name as a secret. That's what it means. You can use, okay, the case, but make sure it's anonymous. Next slide. Okay, like I said, how do you design your qualitative research? First, definitely you must know your topic. Sometimes the topic will tell you whether you are inclined towards which one, all right? And how do you come up with your topic? Sometimes it's from your conversation or looking at the current trend, like some of your friends are doing, or perhaps, okay, from your reading. So these are the things that sparks you to actually look into that particular area. Then your research objective. How do you come up with your research objective? It has to come from the gap. Okay, so that's the reason why you are doing it. Like I said, the gap can come from your reading, from any reports that you read, all right, and then maybe from your preliminary interview if you have to do that. Okay, that's how you actually blend it into your background of your study. Then statement of research problem, research questions, okay, and you need to identify your research participants, the research site, the kind of methods, okay. When you talk about methods, it's methods of collecting your data, how you are going to analyze them, and validation of your data. And finally, last is about reporting your findings. So in the context of qualitative research, reporting findings is not just to report your findings. You need to have some discussion. All right, findings. Some people put it together, findings and discussion. That's where you have to blend in everything together. How your concept actually develop, become a theory that you are going to use to discuss about your findings at the end, gives you a concluding remark about your study. And this part is very tricky. If you are not able to blend well, all right, with the theory that you are using, especially into your discussion, that's where you may get a major correction for qualitative research. All right, so be careful in that sense. It's not just about collect data and this is my findings. No, I remember the situation that I thought that, oh, we are used to do research. As a lecturer, we are used to do research. Okay, we know how to find our topic, research objective statement or whatever that you have here. Everything is done accordingly. And the findings are being reported. And I gave this to my external supervisor because, so, you know what he said? If this is the kind of report that you are submitting, it doesn't guarantee you a PhD. I was, taken aback, and I just don't know what to do. At first, I just don't understand why the work that I've been doing cannot guarantee me a PhD. Then he asked me to look for a thesis, a complete thesis. You read this particular, that's why you need to read thesis, all right? You need to read thesis to see how it's being written. A good thesis. If you're studying in Malaysia, I was like, excuse me. I searched for the thesis based on the theory that I'm using, all right? And then I contacted the person who actually did it. You email them if you can find the email and ask them about their work and how you can actually use their work, okay, to help you in your side. Get their permission. They are willing to share with you, especially those from abroad. Okay? Kalau from UK, they are ever willing to actually share it with you, all right, if you ask them anything. And in fact, for the theory that I'm using, all right, I contacted the person who came up with the theory, the professor who came up with the theory, email him, and then I have the opportunity to actually visit him just to talk about that theory. So that's the reason why, okay, you are given some, I would say, grants, right, for you to go for conferences. That's the purpose of the conferences. It's not just about presenting your work, but it is an avenue that you can meet whoever the person that creates the theory, and you can actually have your conversation or discussion with him then. Okay, that's what we do. I use this theory. One of the theory that I'm using was Burns and Scapen's framework. And when you look at the work that they are doing, and they are normally found in certain conferences. Normally they are regular participants in certain conferences. So I look at that, and then I submitted a paper to be accepted in that particular conference so that I can meet that particular professor. So that's what we do during those days. I don't know about now, whether you are doing the same thing. It's good for you to do that, all right? So you'll get some insights about how those particular framework are being used, or that particular theory are being used, and it helps a lot, okay? And because they are quite friendly in the sense that they are willing to share with you their work. So that's how I got his student's thesis, which I read and see how it's being written. So I follow closely and how it's being blended with the theory. It's not just saying that I found that this. No, it's not that. Okay, reporting findings is not just about putting your findings. After that, you need to, for PhD purposes, you need to have the section of discussion. Okay, so the discussion part is very important, where you weave your findings with the theory. Okay, weaving. How do you blend it in together and write? So that is very crucial. Only then you can be awarded as a doctor of philosophy. Nama pun philosophy. Okay, that particular writing part. Next slide. We got half an hour only left. All right. It's okay. Okay, plus minus, we have some glitches along the line. Then maybe we add like a few extra minutes. Okay. If IPSis is okay with that, right? Okay. These are some of the common verbs for you to use, okay, in your research objective. To explore, to investigate, to probe, to identify, or to describe. All right. So if your research purpose is exploratory, so your common verbs that you're going to use for your study is to explore something, or to investigate, or to probe. All right. And if your purpose is descriptive, then you can use the verb of describe, portray, capture, or to document. If your research purpose is interpretive, mine is interpretive, all right? So I have verbs like to understand, even though there are certain parts that I use to investigate, I also use that as well. It's still within the domain of qualitative research. Then after that is to explain. Because why? My research purpose is to interpret the phenomena, right? And if your purpose is analytical, then you will have to analyze, to generate, develop, or construct. And if it's to evaluate, then you have to assess, to critique, to reflect on, or to evaluate. It's all going back to your issues and the problems that you want to research on. All right, next. Okay, these are some of those examples. Okay, so exploratory to discover phenomena or meanings. Then your example of question is, how do students perceive the role of integrity in accounting education? So these are some of the examples, okay, of the research objective and the kind of research questions that you want to, you are coming up with. All right. So I hope this helps. So can you see that there's a lot of how? You have what, but most of it is more on the how. Even though you have the evaluative, it's being constructed as in what ways does participatory management influence staff motivation in public agencies? It is actually how. In what way is actually how, right? And for qualitative research, normally you will have a second question like why? Because your why will depend on your main research question. You can have a small parts of research question to support your main research question. For example, how do students perceive the role of integrity in accounting education? That's your main research question to answer your objective, because you want to know how they perceive the role of integrity. But you may want to detail it out into asking further questions. That's where your probing questions will come into the picture. If let's say they mention certain roles, and then of course you wouldn't want to know just the how, and you want to know the reason for it. So that's where you start coming up with the why question. Normally you have the how first, then only your why comes into the picture. Okay, next. So characteristics, like I mentioned earlier on, is more on description of the setting, the meaning, okay? And the meaning here comes from the participants that you have already interviewed. Okay? So the meaning of muhasabah, from whom? It's not from you, it's from the participants. Even though in the literature review says that these are the meaning of muhasabah, but you want to know what other people, okay, understand about the meaning of muhasabah. It's from the participants. So that's what you are going to share inside your thesis. Amic perspective, okay, participants' view, not your view. So that's why your write-up is very much based on the data that you have collected. So if you have formulated your objective based on what you think, and your data says a different thing, then you have to change your objective and rewrite them. And make sure the introduction part and the literature review part matches your findings. Okay, matches the data that you already found and your findings and the discussion that you are going to have. That's why you need to update these two particular chapters very well. You cannot say that if you do quanti, right, you can say that your literature is done once you have already come up with your theoretical framework before you do your testing. But for a qualitative research, you cannot say that your chapter 1, your introduction chapter 1 and your chapter 2 is complete until you have already got your data. Because you have emergent data, which you do not have in your literature review. So you have to go back to your literature review and rewrite them to make sure that your emergent data are captured in your literature review. Understand on this one? This one is another different part. This one is going to be under your data, the interpretation and the analysis and interpretation of qualitative data. It's not in designing your qualitative research, right? Okay, all right. So where can your data comes from? It can be from your field notes diary, interview, transcription. Make sure when you have interview, you are going to transcribe them, all right? And that will be put inside your appendices, all right, to support what you have done. Examiner wants to know whether you did it on your own or you ask someone else to do it. So make sure you have all the evidence of some of your field notes, whatever you have in the diary, okay? And if you have a lesson plan, case report, letter, whatever, that should be your narrative data. It can also be video or audio, all right? If you think that you want to film your interview, you can do that. Normally for focus group interview is good if you have video taken during that particular session, all right? Okay, there's a question here. How does emergent data relate to your chapter 1 and 2? How it relates is that you must always remember, okay, the kind of, when you have your data, you will need to discuss about it. And when you discuss on your data, it will give you information and you use that information for your discussion. And if, let's say, that particular element, which is the variable, all right, emergent data is the new construct. Because your concept just now is about what? Management, in my case, management, innovation, and person job fit. Suddenly, when I interview, they did not mention anything about this particular 3 element. Even if they are totally different from what I have in the literature. I have to update my literature. I have to find new literatures, even if it's not in in my discipline. I can borrow this literature in other discipline. I borrowed a lot of my literature from the psychological discipline because I study on the understanding means the behavior of the person working in zakat institution. So it's not about just looking into an accounting discipline, okay, articles, but also in other disciplines as well. So I'm studying about change. So change, the concept of change basically are a lot in psychology and in education, in what else? In business articles, not so much in accounting. So I use them. It's okay. As long as you have some literature support. It depends on your studies. Some you might want to use video, all right? Video recordings, like I said, if you do ethnography, you need this. Okay, and then photograph of a place or event or people. Okay, you can use these are all your data. Next. Okay, techniques of collecting quality data from observation, interview, document analysis. These are the main. Okay, these are the main techniques of collecting your data. So when you observe, you can do filming. Okay, you record them, and you can do some field notes, jot down whatever that you see. You can have interview, is either formal or informal, all right? Either individual interview or you can have a focus group discussion. And then you can have document analysis, whether it's a formal document or just the personal notes. If they say that normally when I do this thing, I will record it. You may want to ask them whether they want to share the kind of documentation that they do on a personal basis. So in the context of collecting them, okay, some of these observation can be structured or unstructured. Anything that you want to see, unstructured. Structured here means at least you jot down what is it that you want to look for. You have a guide. And if you want to interview, all right, normally you have a guide that helps you. Some questions that you have already prepared in advance. So normally we call it as semi-structured questions, okay, for interview. Okay, when you do interview, is it recording? If possible, record your interview, but make sure you ask permission first whether they are willing to be the conversation. They give permission for you to actually record the conversation. Some people, they don't want it to be recorded. So you must make sure you have pen and paper with you or whatever gadget that you have with you to record, to jot down important points during that particular interview. To do interview, do you need to join courses? You mean courses on how to conduct an interview? It depends. If they have, why not? Because there are several ways of conducting an interview. Or you can just read some books about interview. But it would be, because what I normally share with the students is that I have a class on data collection and analysis. And then I normally will share with my students on how to interpret the data. I don't think so we can do that today. Today is just about designing it. Itu pun is only like, almost 3 hours gone. So that one will take quite some time. But if you, okay, I can share that with you, all right? Let's say if you're free, you want to come and see me, you can do that. Okay, I leave my contact number at the end of this particular slide. Okay, feel free to see me if you have anything. My office is at level 12, okay, Menara, Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Alam. And please message me first, okay, before you call, because you know that when I receive a call that I do not actually know, I don't have you in the contact, I might not answer you. Okay, please message me first. Okay, whatever that you are doing for your PhD purposes, memang you kena dapat research ethics approval. When are you going to apply it? You are going to apply your research ethics approval after your defense of research proposal, and you have already you already have the proposal that you have corrected. All right, then you apply for your research ethics approval. Okay, let me know. All right, so another one. Okay, next slide, please. Any questions on this one? You don't have any questions on this one? Oh, I thought I've already silenced it. Kejap. Okay, this is what I meant by the research quality. Next. Tadi kan we talk about rigor kan, alright. If you do qualitative research, right, normally you have statistical tests for your construct validity, you do internal validity, external validity, alright, and then reliability. But for qualitative, something that is more equivalent to that will be credibility, confirmability, transferability, and dependability. Okay, this is to ensure that you can enhance your data, all right? People trust your work, right? So make sure you do all this to ensure people can rely on your work. One thing, like I said, tadi I mentioned about triangulation, right? For qualitative, okay, I'm not going to talk about methodological triangulation, but I'm going to talk about multiple sources of information that you can use for triangulation. You can have method, or you can have method, but more towards the data that you have. So you must make sure that one particular data that you have can be supported by another data. All right. Like I said tadi, from your interview, people talk about certain documents, then you cari that document, find out whether they really have that document or not. Then that confirms your data is correct. All right. And you can do methodological triangulation by having a small portion of quantitative research after your qualitative study. Member checking. Let's say after you interview your participants, you have already transcribed it, right? So after transcribing it, as you go through and read it, automatically you are analyzing it, right? And you will interpret it indirectly. And if there are certain words that has been mentioned by your participants, that you interpret it in certain way to ensure that your interpretation is correct, you can call the participant back, ask him or her to confirm whether what you think is correct or not. And please do keep all these records, all right, because that will be your audit trail. Okay, for example, okay, I'm not sure when you say this, I'm not sure what you meant. So you call him. Please take note of that, okay? Please record it. When you call him, what was the question that you asked him? All right? And then please put it in you just jot down in a piece of paper, clip it together with your transcription. You may circle it at the passage or the interview section that you have already confirmed with him or with her. Record all this. That's your audit trail. So when your examiner asks, at least you have done that. So thick description, make sure you write it in detail, all right? And then peer debriefing. Maybe you can seek external review of analysis. You can contact an expert in the area, all right? If you are in occupational health, definitely there's someone who is an expert in the area of looking into all these, you know, certain toys for the patients. Even though he's not converting the traditional into the whatever that you have currently, right? Okay, as part of the things that you want to use for your patient, but at least you know that he has been doing work in that area. Ask him whether what you have interpreted is correct or not. All right? So these are the ways, and you have to explain it in your methodology, right? How you ensure that what you are doing is actually valid and reliable by using some strategies to enhance the trustworthiness. So you have triangulation. What did you do for the triangulation? Tell them right inside your thesis. Member checking, right inside your thesis. What did you do? And for audit trail, how do you keep your records? Write about it. Methodology is the best chapter, I would say, where you can just write whatever that you have done. You don't have to refer much to literature. It's about recording or documenting the whole data collection method that you have already conducted. Right. Any question on this one?
Yeah, Prof.
Yeah.
I'm Haslina.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to confirm about this triangulation. Actually, there is a, I confused about these two things. There is a mixed method and one more is triangulation, right? Actually, the triangulation is not a mixed method, right?
No.
It's not. Because can you explain for that actually?
Okay. Let me put this way. Mixed method is like I said earlier on, where you have the weightage of your work is 50% quali, 50% quanti. That's mixed method. And mixed method is being determined by the research question. Okay. But when you talk about methodological triangulation, it is about confirming your findings. Okay, that's the difference. Let's say your qualitative research say that, okay, integrity is one of the most important thing in trust leadership. You want to find out whether betul ke, is it correct that, okay, integrity is something that they uphold. Does other people agree with it? And there are so many other people outside there which you may want to test whether your construct of integrity is something that people agree on that as your construct. You make another simple questionnaire just to test on what people feel about integrity in trust leadership. Just to confirm your finding. That is methodological triangulation. That is from quali to quanti. It can be the other way around, quanti and quali. Maybe after, when you talk about, okay, doing your quantitative research, okay, from your regression, you found that there's a significant correlation between your variable A and B. And from your reading of literature, they mention about something, okay, that you feel your quantitative study doesn't give you that. You just want to confirm, is it correct? And that's the reason of that correlation. You interview some. Only on that part.
So meaning that I concerned about the LR. So when I looking for the LR, so is it I have to find about quantitative methods and qualitative methods to confirm that methods, or just triangulation only?
Okay. Your literature. What do you mean by your literature? Is it under methodology or what?
Yeah, because when we decide which method, right, we have to give the reason, right, why we choose that method. So is it we have to we have to explain through the LR, right?
Yes, that one would be under your methodology triangulation.
Triangulation, not
under you're not doing mixed method, right?
Right, no. I triangulation, just enhance the method.
So under your triangulation, okay, your heading of triangulation, and then inside there you explain about methodological triangulation that you are trying to do, and find the literature support on why you have to do that methodological triangulation. So in your case, you explain in your case why you are doing it. So you are following whose article?
Excuse me.
Assalamualaikum, Prof. Sorry, Prof.
Yeah.
I just want to make myself clear. So from that methodological triangulation, it doesn't need our research to be mixed method. Am I right?
Yeah, no. You must remember, if your quali or quanti is minimal, for example, quali 90%, quanti 10%, that is methodological triangulation. We don't consider that as mixed method.
Okay, so as for my research, it is 100%, I think 100% quantitative, since we already distribute a survey. So from that result, from that regression, we just want to confirm the result, because the result is insignificant, which is there is no literature proof that the variable is insignificant, so that we want to interview industry expert to...
Yes, okay. That is not mixed method, that is methodological triangulation. You just want to confirm your finding, right?
Yes.
So that is methodological triangulation.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Right.
Professor?
Yes?
After we confirm our finding by doing triangulation, how can we make sure that this is a good point or this is the right point?
How can you?
How can we sure enough, we confident enough that this is the good point, or our finding is a good one?
Okay, like I said, you don't have, sometimes, okay, doesn't mean that when you do this this trustworthiness, all right, you must have everything here, all right? All the elements you have to do, not necessary. Sometimes you don't have to do triangulation. Member checking is enough. When you go to the expert or you go to the participants, is already enough. Or you have peer debriefing, that's already enough. Or you interview expert, that's already enough. They are expert in the area. How can you dispute them? But you must mention who they are inside your methodology.
Okay.
Specify. You have to write down in detail who are your interviewees. Who are your patients? And we talk about parents. Whose parents? So it has to be detailed inside your methodology.
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
All right. So when you already have thick description about that, it's already sufficient to verify that people can use it. Okay, people can use my data for their study. Or they can refer to my findings, right, for whatever purposes. Okay, next. Okay, this part is very important when you do your qualitative research. It's not just about interviewing people, it's about the process of reflexivity. It's about a reflection on the interview documents that you have, the transcription that you have. All right. So when you have interviewed someone, when you go back, you listen back to this one is good for you to record. All right, so that you can listen. Okay, you listen it again, and then you can try to get some information, and at the same time you can analyze it. Okay, as you remember, oh, they are telling me about these toys. Why this toys is like this and relate to this culture. And it seems that in those days, okay, they're talking about these toys help people in certain ways. So you need to have that kind of reflection. And jot it down, all right? So that if you want to interview another person, maybe you want to have an additional question to that person. Okay, coming from the first interview that you have. Doesn't mean that when you interview, you use the same question throughout. No, sometimes one interview will help you to improve your next interview so that you can get all these findings. And sometimes you may want to have a follow-up interview with the first person just now because you forgot about the question that you asked. You are supposed to ask. You ask the second person, oh, I forgot. I should have asked the other person just now. Then you can go back to contact him. Okay, contact that person and do your follow-up interview. And that's the reason why this one is very important. And that's why you try to relate with whatever concept that you have, write it down. Would your interview help you to answer all the research questions that you have posed earlier on? Okay. So this is very, very, very important. It's not just by interview, then next interview. No. It has to be, you need to go back and listen again to your recorded interview just now. Because by remember, in qualitative research, the analysis is being done by the researcher. You are the tool. Okay, it's not any other statistical tool. You are the tool. And that's why just now that you have to detach yourself from your participants so that you are not biased. And your write-up will only be based on your participants' answer, not from your perception. Okay, does that actually answer? Next. Any question on this one? No. Next. Okay. So, like I said just now, it's about what? When you have a concept, right? You already have a concept or you have certain beliefs. And how would you actually use your concept just now to shape your study? Okay. How your next data to be collected or interpreted, and how are you going to actually create a story out of your interview or out of your data collection? That's why this particular part is very important. It's like when you do your IPSis, right? You have to key in your data, right? Then you just press a button, then they will run your correlation for you. But in this context, the correlation is running in your head. You are going to relate whatever concept that you're using or belief, and with the data that you have already collected. So you are going to match together and see how you are going to create story out of what you have already found. Okay, next. Okay, so there are two types or two dimensions of reflexibility. You have personal reflexibility, reflexivity, and another one is epistemological. So from my explanation just now, when I say that what am I supposed to do, okay, what is it that I got from that particular person, and thinking of why is this person saying this way, right? That is more on personal. But when I try to relate that, oh, this is what they say about muhasabah. So in the theory that I'm looking at, for the concept that I'm looking at, how would it relate? This is epistemological reflexivity. You are already trying to relate it with the concept you have created, right? And how you would actually be interpreting it in your context of your study. Like in my case, I have an interview, and that particular interviewee or the participant says that, oh, I'm not sure whether we are using this method or not. But when I look into the concept of management accounting and what are the components of management accounting, I can relate to the person that I interviewed just now, when he said that he's not using it, they are not using management accounting, but the words that they are using, when they say that, yes, we do control and we do monitor, I will relate it to management accounting concept. Management accounting says that one of the elements that you must have is element of monitoring and control. He said that just now. So indirectly, I can say that they do practice it, but they practice without understanding that the one that they are practicing is actually management accounting. So that's the story I get out of this reflexivity. One is more on personal, another one is epistemological when I start to relate it with my framework. Okay. Next. So basically, okay, from what I explained just now, so these are basically the process, your personal assumptions, and then after that, you look into your fieldwork reflection, analytical reflection, meaning and making sense out of it. Then you can start jotting down whatever stories that you think you can get out of that particular interpretation. Okay. Press next. Any question? Oh, so from yours, okay, basically when we talk about from themes to findings, so from your interview, you are going to, after your reflexivity just now, you come up with certain themes or concept, all right? Then you are going to look into those particular concept and see how it would actually make stories out of it. And you start to link it back to your literature and theoretical underpinnings. That's okay.
Adalah gurau je lah.
Okay, so that's the how you can actually.
Sebenarnya fikirkan cara macam mana nak bercakap depan prof-prof ni semua kan. Dalam keadaan humble tapi pada
Okay, so do you understand this? Linking your findings to literature and your theoretical underpinnings. So this process is not an easy process. And most students fail to link it to the theoretical underpinning. And when you fail to do that, that's where you can get major correction for your Viva. So this part is very, very crucial. And this part would actually leads you to your discussion just now. Okay? Next. So basically, we are just talking about advantage or disadvantage of qualitative research. Okay. Qualitative data is very rich. When you interview, you tend to get data that are not related to your study. Keep it. Don't throw it away. You know why? Because all this data, the additional data, can actually help you with your future articles or future studies, which you can relate, and that actually helps to build up, okay, your career path, especially when you are in academic line. Okay, you can create another, I would say you can create another study, but you already have the data, right? So you can actually start to write on it. So this is the beauty of qualitative research, all right? And the data actually coming from participants, is not coming from you. The thing that if you ask me, the thing that I don't like about it is it's time consuming and labor intensive. Why? Because after every interview, you have to transcribe. 1.5 hours of interview, I have to sit down writing verbatim, right? Every single words that are being spoken during the interview between me and that particular person, and it takes me like 1 week to actually complete it. But the more that I do it, I think the more frequent, then it gets faster. But the first time doing it, it really takes like 1 week, 1.5 weeks for me to actually write down every single thing. I think now you have the software. But the thing about the software is that if they can, I would say, tap the language that you are using during the conversation, right? Then they will be able to help you in transcribing it. Mungkin adalah dia transcribe pelik-pelik sikit, but at least when you go through it, right, it wouldn't be that difficult for you to write that. During my time, you don't have it, so I have to write. I have to write every single word. All right. And in a way, when you say it is difficult, memang adalah sometimes potential bias. You can have preconceived ideas, all right, before you undertake the interview. So try to avoid that from disturbing your reflexivity just now, all right? And this one is difficult to replicate. We know why? Because the finding from your study, it may not be the same with another study. Even though you use the same method, right? But the outcome of the study may not be the same, because you might be interviewing different people, in different industry. Method, you can use the same method, right? But in terms of findings, your answer may not be the same with another people's answer. So if you want to look at the similarities, it's not going to be that easy, right? There's always differences between both. So again, it's your choice to go for quanti or quali. But one thing about qualitative is that you tend to get a lot of additional info. That's the thing that I like about it. And you get to know people well, okay, in those particular area, and it helps you in your future research or future studies. Next. Okay, I was talking about NVivo, just a brief one. You can do your analysis manually, all right, but you need to have a lot of highlighter, you need to have a lot of colored papers, okay, or tag, whatever it is, just to group out. But you need I would say if you do it manually, it's quite difficult for you to actually keep your data. Like before, when I did my interview, before I had used the NVivo, right, I have to write down. Not type. When you type, it's kind of too slow for you to type. So I prefer to write because it's faster for me to get the transcription done. Again, I have problem in keeping those particular data because it takes my space. So when you have like 30 interviews, you need as thick as these papers. Okay, for one interview for you to write every single words that they have. So one way to overcome that problem is NVivo can actually help you. And now you have Atlas TI, right? I'm not familiar with Atlas TI because during my time you don't have that yet. Okay, only towards the end that the Atlas TI was introduced. So I've already actually used NVivo. This one is actually to help you managing your data, and later it helps you to actually integrate all the visuals or audio that you have, whatever data that you have, and you are able to see it and connect them easily when you have softwares. But it actually helps you to manage your data. Not so much of analysis, maybe a bit, just to do the connection between one teams to another teams, but it's not as intensive as like your IPSis, where you can use a lot of statistical analysis for your data. All right, more to data management, right, rather than analysis. Yes, it does help you, but it's more on keeping your data. So instead of using sticky notes, right, to categorize your theme, same color sticky notes, say everywhere. So at least you do it inside your NVivo. Next. Okay, what is it that you can get out of this? So hopefully you understand what qualitative research is. So basically it's in-depth, it's contextual, and it's about explaining the meaning. All right. So every research design would actually be related to certain philosophical assumption. So in order for you to have the rigor, like I said, go for credibility, dependability, transferability, and conformability. And NVivo is a tool. It's not a substitute for your analytical thinking. Analytical thinking, the analysis is done by the researcher. And you may get a question from your examiner. How do you overcome your researcher bias? That's where you go back to your trustworthiness just now. Okay, use those to help you answer that particular question. Okay, there are some questions. Right, hold on. Let me have a look at the question. Do we need to identify expert for our research? Yes. For the set of questions we ask in the interview, does it need to be validated? For us as a researcher, that will be as the interviewer, do we need to get any certificate for that or need to join any course? No, not necessarily you have to have certificate, but as long as your supervisor has already run through the question that helps you, okay, that should be fine. Is it valid to plan for a qualitative study despite of some quantitative research has already been carried out? Okay, when you are talking about this, yes, but there are the details. What is it that has not been captured in the quantitative study? It's basically the answer of the why. So have a look at that. That could actually help you to develop your qualitative study. It's from your research question. All right. How can we determine the weightage, Prof? I will be doing mixed method. It's your research question. All right. So out of your research question, you have maybe 2 that you need to do it qualitatively and 2 that you need to do it quantitatively. That's roughly the weightage for it. All right. One thing is you have your research question that determines your qualitative research and your research questions that determine your quantitative research. So that's where the weightage comes into the picture. So there's also a question on critical and transformative. All right. When we talk about critical and transformative, that one is assumption. All right, let me see. Dear is where you are constructing. Your study is about, okay, doing you look at maybe a certain processes or certain procedures where you criticize about the current practices, and after that what you do is you are suggesting for some improvement to it and making sure that you can actually transform whatever current practice into a new practice. If your study is very much related to that, you may be guided by this critical and transformative paradigm. Okay. Apa lagi ada question kat sini? Wait, let me see. Yeah.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
My name is Nazwan from UiTM Pertis. Prof, I understand that qualitative, right? They will have a code and themes. Usually they will use these two terms. How to differentiate between the codes and themes? Sorry, Prof. In a simple words that we can differentiate between the code and themes. Thanks, Prof. Yeah.
It's basically the same, all right? It's just that when we talk about the themes and when you actually use NVivo, normally the themes will be coded. It will be put as a code. It's actually a theme. Yeah.
Because like a team is like a group of code, is it? Because I try to understand.
A group, yes.
Oh, itulah, because currently I'm working on SLR. So sometimes when I code, I confuse. Is this a team or code?
It is, yes.
So the team is coming from my perception and also my view and perspective, right, Prof? The themes.
Yeah, yes, and from your reading.
From my readings, okay.
Yeah, it's not just from you, you don't say that. It's from your reading and from my reading. All right, you must make sure it relates to the data. You don't say that it's coming from you, yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
All right, okay.
Prof, saya nak celah sikit, Prof. Azrul Shah from Shalam. Okay, I have questions because previous I done my PhD but not completed. I was scholar. I do quantitative. I don't want to mention that uni lah. So I through the comprehensive exam, analytic subject and so on. So I discovered you already explained why should we take qualitative rather than quantitative or mixed method. Is based on what kind of finding that we want. You mentioned about, for example, I'm do my research on leadership of tourism agency in Malaysia. Of course, I will meet the Director General of Tourism Malaysia and so on, and all the states. So the confidential officer, audit negara and so on. But my question is on qualitative. The quantitative is clear on independent variable and dependent variables, IV and DV. But qualitative, like you said, is the wrap up and reflection, like the conclusions and NVivo is a tool. Substitute for analytical thinking. You already mentioned it's that data management.
Yeah.
Compared to SPSS or SEM, structure equation model, it's more they do this analytical and so on. But our main concern is when Viva will say all these what we call it examiners or evaluator is combined of this field. Some of them are expert in qualitative, some of them are expert on quantitative.
Okay.
So that's why I already decided to take qualitative because I tried quantitative. I found it's not hard, but my topic is not what we call it. Yes, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
So that's why my not say problem. I think qualitative in Malaysia, lots of people take quantitative, and avoiding qualitative is about time management and also cost, and especially when we are traveling. Because, for example, 14 states I need to cover.
Yeah.
So we don't say about ASEAN and Asia and Europe. So my question is how people are now focusing on qualitative, because lots of people mention about mixed method 10%. Sorry lah, I need to ask qualitative 10%. My main goal now qualitative. So my question is how we want to make it more precise the results. That's all.
Okay, that's why, in doing qualitative research, all right, what drives you to the qualitative research is when you find that there are a lot of things to explore and it's underexplored in certain areas. And you feel that the kind of data that you are going to collect when you use quantitative will not make any sense to your study. And you feel that by engaging with the people in the area, and you will get more information about it, would actually make sense to your study. That's where you embark into your qualitative research. In my case, right, initially I thought that I could actually do quantitative to look into the management practices of people in zakat institution in Malaysia. But I did end up not able to do it because zakat institution in Malaysia is only like 14. So if I were to give the questionnaire to each and every one of them, and I may get little questionnaire, and that even if I have 30 questionnaire, it doesn't actually give me that answers that I want. Because the answer that I want basically is I want to know this institution collects zakat funds. If they collect zakat funds, especially in Selangor and in Kuala Lumpur or wilayah, right? And they collect millions of dollars or billions, but why there are still poor people, which cannot be answered by quantitative research. I need to get to know more about them by dwelling into this matter and see them personally. Okay, so that's the reason why I chose this particular method. I want to know why. And even though people have been saying about all the collection, you are bragging about your collection, but why are they still poor people? I have not got the answer yet. You said you did this and that, but there are still more poor people. But as you go into the study, then only you can understand the reason for it. So I'm looking for that particular reason. That's why I use qualitative. Yeah.
Agree with you, Prof. Because at the end of the day, I just want to add that before I wrap up my question. The why I choose qualitative because the person that we interviewed is a decision maker. So, for example, government agency, they are what we call JUSA-C, JUSA-B, or 52, 54. Then that's why qualitative is very good because the person that we interviewed is a high quality decision maker. So they are part of policy maker. So that's why I just want to wrap up because you said NBBO is a tool, data management. Then how the analytical, because now the AI, artificial intelligence. So yeah, you know, I don't want to mention the GPT and so on, the data and so on. So that's why the quite apprehensive on this analytical through the That's all my question. Last question.
Okay, so basically you're talking about the use of ChatGPT. Are you talking about that for analytical thinking?
Some sort of.
Okay, so basically, okay, when we talk about the use of ChatGPT, remember, no matter how you use your ChatGPT, please humanize it, all right? Because your Turnitin can actually detect the level of AI usage. I don't know
Plagiarism.
about, yes, because I'm not sure about the policy of UITM, whether they have already that AI usage on the level of AI usage. But one thing I know that in USM, okay, because my son is studying there, he said that in USM, they have the similarity index not more than 20. Same goes to the use of AI. It cannot be more than 20%.
Okay.
So you can use, but one way to use it, yes, on top of they help you, go back to the literature and go back to your AI generated analytical whatever answers, right? Try to have a look at it and how you can actually humanize and blend it together with your literature. Because that is expected out of you.
Thank you, bro, for the very detailed explanation. Yeah.
That would help, okay? Because sometimes you don't have time. If you're working, you just don't have time for it. But sometimes ChatGPT could actually help you with some ideas. So maybe you can consider that idea, but at the same time, don't take it 100%. All right? ChatGPT can lie as well, okay? Because I used to ask them some questions and you already know the answer, but they answered it differently. So I answered back, you lied to me. Then they kata, sorry, I'm not up to that, whatever. So that's where you have to be very careful as well. So you can use, but make sure you know the concept of what PhD is all about. And you need your authentic intelligence, that's your brain, is much more superior than the AI of artificial intelligence. You will actually come up with a better findings, okay, better discussion with the help of ChatGPT together with your own reflexivity just now. I believe you can do that.
Okay, bro, thank you. I'm a repentant student.
No worries, you will. No matter, I always tell my student, it's okay to be slow, but surely. At the end of the day, no matter how slow you are, surely you will get your PhD.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there are several questions here. Maybe the next slide. Aku tak ingat apa the next slide pun. Okay, this is basically some of my references that I normally use. At the end, I stick to Creswell, Yin, and then Pat Beasley. The rest is just to give me some picture about what qualitative is all about. But at the end of the day, okay, the books that really helped me well with my qualitative is Creswell, Robert Yin, because I am using case study and a little bit of blending it with phenomenology. And I use Pat Beasley because, okay, of the NVivo that I'm using. So basically these three are the ones that actually helped me a lot. The rest is just my reading to understand what qualitative research is all about. Okay, the final one is just to say thank you to all of you. So if you need my assistance or you feel that, okay, I think I need a session with, you need a session with me to understand certain things, then by all means, you can contact me at that particular number. So that's all from me. So let me just see what are other questions. Okay. You're asking about recording, and definitely you need to record. Kalau boleh record sebab you can re-listen to it. Alright. Do we need to join the course interview? It's okay. I learn the interview through reading. There's one book about conducting interviews. I think I need to I need to know, I need to get it. I can't remember the name of the book, So I end up a lot of reading. Okay, why that I read a lot and I joined a lot of courses on qualitative research, because when I did it at the faculty, okay, we were not allowed to do it elsewhere. We have to do it in UITM and we have to do it at the faculty. And being in the Faculty of Accountancy, majority are quantitative. I would say majority are quantitative. You hardly could find people doing qualitative. My supervisors are quantitative. All right. So I need to understand qualitative well before I can argue with them. So I joined a lot of classes and I couldn't thank enough several people that have helped me a lot. Okay, sorry for being a little bit emotional, but these are the people who have helped me a lot in understanding qualitative research, especially Prof. Dr. Marohaini from UM. I have Prof. Rosmima from Faculty of Business. And then I have Prof. Ibrahim Kamal from my own faculty, which I was kind of touched when he said that I didn't know that you are doing qualitative. I assigned you to someone who's doing a quantitative, but at the end, he became my internal examiner. So Alhamdulillah, he's happy with it. So those are the people that I should thank, and especially my external supervisor, Professor Keith Mondes. He was the one who actually brought in how I should be writing metaphorically, all right, in the storyboard that I have, with the data that I have, and how I blend everything in. When he mentioned that the first submission that I had, oh, happy, belum 3 tahun dah boleh submit everything. But that's not what they are looking at when it comes to PhD level. It's the blending in together with your concept, findings, and the theoretical framework that you have built up and making a story out of it. That's the one that they are looking for when you do your PhD in qualitative research. So I hope whatever that I have shared with you today helped you a lot. Okay, so if you think that you need me to help you with certain things, maybe you can gather some friends, come together, and we can actually talk about or help you with your work. I don't mind doing it. All right, come contact me. Inshallah, I'll be available.
Doctor, Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
I'm so sorry for interrupting you, but I'm Nana. I'm doing my masters in APP Guidance Shah Alam. Can I ask, currently doing qualitative study or suicidal language. Could you recommend like certain book authors that would you suggest for us to read upon, like for qualitative study, especially on phenomenology? Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay. So basically, when you talk about phenomenology, you can find a lot of it in Denzin and Lincoln. There are several studies that they have inside that book. That book is quite thick. Since you are in Shah Alam, can you come and see me? I have that book in my room. Okay, Denzin and Lincoln. Okay, it's quite thick. All right. So that one is actually helping me out with understanding, okay, a lot about this particular phenomenology. So because Denzin and Lincoln did their study a lot on what you are doing. Something related to psychology, something that's related to people's behavior. So, and they also share research done by their colleagues, okay, on the related area. That's why the book is like this thick, right? So it's quite heavy. So if you want to have a look at it, I have it in my office at level 12. Okay, Menara Saas. Just drop me a message, and if you want to borrow it, why not?
Thank you so much, Prof. I'm actually will be coming tomorrow or Friday, so I'll be messaging Prof lah with you.
Okay, I'll be around. Inshallah,
Okay,
I'll be
thank you
around.
so much, Prof. I love your webinar. It's so much. It's giving me so much information. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you to all of you as well. Okay, and then, or do you recommend to do quali or for clinical postgraduate student? Okay, again, when you talk about clinical postgraduate student, what is it that you want to find out? So that matters, all right? is if you want to know about just the behavior and how they respond to certain things, right? And it's not very much like general, you want to know in detail about the problems that they face, okay, when they do their clinical studies. You may want to do qualitative, but if let's say it depends on your issues and the problems that you bring in, that matters because that will determine whether it's quali or quanti. If it's a broad issue, okay, among all the postgraduate students in Malaysia, that's the same thing that they are facing. Maybe you want to do quantitative. But if you feel that it only affects several particular institution, maybe qualitative is better for you. Okay, I also have some questions just talking about triangulation. Remember, I hope you're clear already, triangulation, there are two types, data and method. Data means your interview, you match it with information that you get from documents or from other experts. That's triangulation, data triangulation. Method is where you have partly small portion of quali and bigger portion of quanti, or small portion of quanti, bigger portion of quali. That is methodological triangulation. Najia, are you able to download the slides from the link that was shared with you?
Doctor. Yes, Prof.
Okay, got it already. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Doctor.
Yes.
If I want to ask you about qualitative after this, is it okay if I contact with you?
Well, sure. Why not? Why not? You can.
Tapi, can I have your number, Doctor?
Hmm?
Can I have your number, Doctor?
Okay. Okay. The next slide. The last slide, I have my number there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So you can actually contact me, all right, or email me. That's inshallah, I'll try my best to actually assist.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Do you have any more questions? If you don't have any more questions, I'll pass it back to the moderator. A great pleasure to all of you, all right? Because I know that I face a lot of difficulties doing qualitative alone in UITM at that particular point of time. So the problem that I face with my supervisor, which they don't understand what qualitative is, so it's not easy for me to actually justify to them why I need to do qualitative. So I hope, because of that difficulties, I feel that I need to do something for those who wanted to do qualitative method, so that it will be easier for you, okay, to actually embark into qualitative and easy for your journey doing qualitative research. If you are talking about the most challenging is when you start to have data and you don't know what to do with it. That's the most challenging thing. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the sharing.
Most welcome. All right.